everyone, this is Paul the Oaken Knight, bringing you yet another slice of gaming goodness. Today I will demonstrate the opening turns for Scenario 12, the historic 3-day grand battle. In so doing, I will demonstrate the rules I set forth in my prior video showing you how I play the game. First, a quick review. For marching to the sound of the guns, I will use option 1, placing a marching to the sound of the guns card I created into the activation deck. Upon being drawn, all units from both sides that are in March to the Sound of the Guns mode execute a full maneuver movement simultaneously. Their movement is no longer tied to their controlling corps, or in Buford's case, division activation card, although events, including default events and CIC cards, may grant additional movement. Note that the Command Confusion event may never be used against units in March to the Sound of the Guns mode. Second, leaders must have a subordinate unit within 3 hexes of an enemy unit to be eligible to be a casualty, including the Colonel is Down event. Buford will withdraw from the battle at 10 o'clock on July 2nd, and Law's Brigade of Hood's Division will enter at noon on July 2nd. The Fog of War card may only delay a given group of reinforcing units once during a game. Lew Wallace is not here. Bivouac rules modifications would be used, but I doubt we will get into the night turns. Buford's carbines, 1 shift right at effective range, and limited to the 1 strength column at long range. Okay, it is now 0900 on July 1st, 1863. Let us begin. And here's the main part of the 0900 setup, and we see to the upper part of the screen, we see Buford's troops all set up on what would be McPherson's Ridge. We have 2 of Califf's guns here, 4 here. The rest are his 2 cavalry brigades. And over here we have Heath. So he's all ready to go. Now in reality, this battle started just a little bit earlier. Down here, Buford had a layered defense strategy. The core of his defense was right where it shows, but he also had a significant skirmish line out here on Hare Ridge, and he had other even smaller forces farther out, basically to annoy Heath enough so that he decided he had to put his men in line rather than come in column, and that's exactly what he did, and it cost him about 90 minutes to get that done and to push Buford's skirmishers out of the way. So in this game we pick up when all that has been done and we're all in battle lines and ready to go. So what do we do first? Well, the first thing we have to do, we have to pull cards out of our event decks for every artillery brigade in addition to 1 that we intend to use in the following bombardment phase. Now there's not much artillery out here. Each side only has 1 artillery brigade out here, so there's no need to pull cards. So essentially we skip that. Each side gets 1 free artillery brigade activation that they can use in the bombardment phase. Next, we get the deck assembled for the turn. And here are the cards that are going to in part go into the deck on turn 1. For the Federals, we have Howard's Corps activation card. We have Buford's divisional activation card. Buford is special. He's the only guy that has a division activation card. Everything else is by corps, with the only exception of being the Union Artillery Reserve, which has its own activation card. Here we have Reynolds' activation card, a superior corps commander. And since Reynolds is acting as wing commander at this point, he has a commander-in-chief card that's an extra bonus. For the Confederates, there's only Hill's 3rd Corps card. Lee isn't really here directing things yet, so his presence is not being felt. In addition, there are divisional cards that have been put in priority order. If you look, you can see those on their various displays here. And I've already preset the priority order that I want them to appear in. All right. In addition, each side has a deck of 15 events. Now, we've already skipped over one part in the sense that since we're only activating the 1 artillery brigade for each side, and one is free. Beyond that, you have to discard at random one of these cards. And after that, you get to pick two that you want to seed into the deck, and after that, you get to randomly pick 6 out of the remainder. So the deck will be composed of these guys plus 8 for each side, so 16 in total of event cards. 2 for each side have been purposefully picked, and the rest will be randomly seeded into the deck. Shuffle all that together, and you have an activation deck for the turn. Now, especially for the Union side, I'm just going to say these 2 cards, if we can focus. These 2 cards are of particular importance because these are both generating movement. Okay, movement, even with the revised rule that I put in place, getting guys there quicker is a good thing, and so these will help generate movement for troops at various times when they're drawn. In addition, every card has a default event where you can move 1 counter. 1 unit may move, or 1 unit may shoot. And these are surprisingly useful, so never underestimate using cards for default events. In fact, I tend to use most of the cards I draw for default events. All right, with that, I will go ahead and pick 2 cards from each side, put it for events, and randomly seed others, and assemble this deck into a shuffle deck. Oh, before I go on, I forgot to mention these 2 cards. One of them is a Fog of War card, and that's basically random events, including leader casualties, which I have modified a little bit, saying that a leader has to have a unit, any unit, within 3 of an opposing unit in order for he himself to be a casualty. And then here is the card that I made, March to the Sound of the Guns. I'm going to assemble the deck, and then we will get started with the artillery shooting for 0900. So, Buford's cavalry has Caliph's sections of artillery. He's got 1 4-gun section that I have marked to fire, and he has 1 over here, which is a 2-gun section. Okay, and we're going to shoot at this guy on the end. There's no terrain involved, no intervening units, nothing that would obscure or block terrain. It's just going from ridge to ridge. And I resolve combat using the 3-die method that's straight out of the rules as written. Let me see what we got. And what I do when I refer to the die roll result, they use the black die as the 10 digits on the table, the white die is the units digit, the red die is a special die that gets added to the cohesion of the defender to figure out what happens. So we rolled a 31-3, the red die being the 3. And on the table, with 4 points firing, a 31 is no effect. Now we rolled no effect up here with the 31 with 4 guns firing. And then on the no effect column, we have a 3 plus the cohesion of the defending unit, which is a 3. So that's 6. And that is a complete no result, no effect result. It could have been a firefight. They could have fired back, and we could have gotten into a back and forth kind of thing, which is kind of cool when it happens, but not this time. So there's no effect with this shot. And the infantry underneath has even higher cohesion, so it's not going to be affected either. But the result that comes off of this first table is applied to every unit in the hex. Okay? So if you got a stack of 3 units and you get an R result, which is kind of this middle one, I mean, they're checking on this table for every single unit in the hex. It's modified by the same red die, but each unit has its own cohesion rating, so you read the result off that table accordingly. All right, second gun. We have 2 firing here. All right, this is going to be at long range. The other one was range 6. That is the maximum range for a effective shot. This is considered a long range shot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This shot is going over these trees, therefore terrain will obscure. Additional terrain hexes that are obscuring still only count as terrain obscured, it's one shift. If there were units in between that you're firing over, then the units could apply an additional shift of being obscured. And then there's the terrain that's actually in the defending hex. So if you're shooting over trees, over units of whatever side, into a hex that has woods, that's going to be 3 shifts. One's for the guys, one's for the intervening obscuring terrain, such as trees, and one's for the trees actually in the defender's hex. You get used to that after a while. It's just 1, 2, 3, what applies. So we have long range, that's going to shift it down 2. We have obscured from terrain, that's going to shift it down 1. It's not going to matter because there's only 4 firing. 1, 2, 3. That gets us on the minimum 1 table. Even more shifts wouldn't make any difference. So let's go ahead and roll it. It is a 44-3. Now, doubles are special. You read those off the combat event table, and the rules say this is kind of optional. They put it in the main rules, and then they turn around and say, well, it's optional if you don't want to use it. I kind of like it. Firing down slope. This is intended for close action, where you're firing down an angled hex, which I figured out are these right here. The doubles have no effect here. A 44 with a 3 for cohesion on the minimum table, that's no effect. 4, let's see, 3, 7, 7, it's an all-around no effect. So Buford's, or Caliph's battery just completely misses. And now it's time for the Confederates to have their shot. This alternates by artillery brigade, so each side only has one. The Union always shoots first. Now it's going to be the Confederates' shot. But we have 8 smoothbores here. We're going to be shooting at the Caliph's 4 guns that are up on West McPherson's Ridge. So 8, they are only effective out to 5 hexes, so that's going to be 2 shifts. So it's on the 5 table and nothing intervening. So it's going to be a shot on the 5 table. It's a 36-6. Now, when you have a big number on the red die, that means that it's going to be hard to do anything to the defender because their cohesion is going to get 6 bonus, which is pretty big. But let's see, 36 on the 5 column is an E result. I take that back. We got a Buford's cavalry in there, and because he is Buford's cavalry, he will actually get a shift. So he's going to be on the 4 column. Okay. Well, 36. There goes the E result. So the 6 with the 4 cohesion for the artillery is a firefight. Okay. So these guys are ticked off, and the Caliph's battery is going to fire back at these guys. So let's take a look. 21-6. Well, 21 isn't going to do anything, but the 6 plus 3, yes, 3 cohesion, it's going to be a 9, which is a firefight. So here we go. The Confederate battery is going to shoot back at him again at its original table on the 4 column. Again, 2 shifts for range, 1 shift because it's Buford's cavalry there. We get a 61-5. 61 is great, but 5 is also great for the defender. 61 is an R result, so that's in this yellow. And a 5 plus 4 is 9. That is a no effect. And the infantry underneath, or the cavalry underneath, is also a 4, so that has no effect. All right, so we're on to the next Confederate battery. Let's shoot at the same target. All right, we have the second hex of Confederate artillery shooting. It is a 4M, which is a mixed battery, and another 4M. So we have a total of 8 points. We have a total of 8 points of M-class artillery. It is effective out to 6 hexes. We are at 6 hexes, so there's no penalty there. But M-class artillery gets a shift down to the left at effective or long range, and that would be in addition to the normal long-range penalty. So we automatically have 1 shift to the left for normal range, effective range. There's no intervening units, and the guys are on a bald hill. So no other effects. So we have 8 shooting, 8 Confederates shooting against... Oh! Okay, there is one shift down because of Buford's cavalry being in the hex. And it is a 26-2. 26 is an E result. A 2 on the red die, plus 4 cohesion for each of the 2 units. So that's going to be 6 on the E column, is no effect. So, the second shot did nothing to Buford. Next. 4 rifle guns, same target, 4 over 1 because we got the defending cavalry. And we got a 34-3. So on the 3 column, we got a 34. It is no effect. A 3 and 3-7 is no effect. All right, so that is it for the bombardments. And at this point, we start picking cards. The fast courier card is drawn. This is the Confederate version of the card. And we get to activate any one division for a corps that is not yet activated. So since we have not yet drawn the 3rd Corps activation card, it has not yet activated. Okay? And we get to roll on any division we want in that command, regardless of priority, but subtract 1 from the die roll. Well, there is only one guy there, and that is Harry Heath. So this is his card. Notice 1 is very bad. He's a poor commander. He had been a major general for about a week. We're going to roll 1 die, 1d6, and see what we got. All right, Harry Heath rolls a 5, and according to the fast courier, it subtract 1, so it's a 4. He gets to do 1 brigade plus 1 hex of Garnett's artillery. Now, the artillery that's on the map is actually the corps artillery. Heath's divisional artillery is not here yet. He gets 1 brigade. Okay, so he gets to decide which of his brigades is going to do something with this fast courier. All right, so I'm going to opt to take it slow, and we got Brockenbrough back here, and he's a 1-unit brigade all unto himself, a very questionable quality. 1, 2, 3. We're going to do a maneuver order. You have basically attack, defense, and maneuver orders you can choose from. I'm going to choose a maneuver order, 8 movement points, and that's all he can do is move. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, for grins, I will stick him up there, even though it might be a little dangerous, since now he's going to be basically not with his buddies. So that means his cohesion is going to take a -1. So he's only got a 1-point cohesion. He could get, he could get shaken. He could get pushed around. But I'm going to do that. Next card. Reynolds gets to move. This is an optional hold card, so we can just hang on to it. We don't have to use it right away. Before a card is drawn, activate any 1 division and increase its command table roll by +1. Nice card for generating movement. We're going to stick that in our sock and have the next card picked. Rebel Yell, which is an outstanding card for attacking. With this card, you can be 2 hexes away from an enemy, move next to him, and hit him with a melee with bonuses. I think this card is better for later in the game because we're nowhere near each other at this point. So it could be held because it is a hold card. Just stick it in your sock as the Confederate player and maybe pull it out later. Or use the default action, which can be a shot by 1 unit, not a stack, or movement by 1 unit. It's a good card. I don't think we'll be able to use it, but I'm going to stick it in the sock anyway. Put it in hold. Next card. And Rally Around the Flag. This is a great card because it's one of the ways you can take shaken status off units, and the only way, except for night turns, that you can take a chance at removing battle-worn status from a unit. Basically, the reverse side is battle-worn, flipping it back is normal. However, since the cavalry is always battle-worn, there is no non-battle-worn side that won't apply to them. It's a play immediate card, so we got to do something. There's no bad morale going on out here, so we're going to, I'm going to move 1 unit. I'm going to go up there, where we got First Corps coming in. Move that one, it's an artillery battery. He moves 2 hexes down the road. That's it. That's the default action. Next, seeing the elephant. Got to be a unit that has cohesion of 1 or 2 as printed on the counter and within 2 hexes of a Union unit. There are no such units, so we cannot have any Confederates see the elephant because he's too far away. So this is play immediate. All right, we're going to shoot. All right, we have 4 points of rifle guns. And let's take a shot at old Mr. Brockenbrough who stuck his nose out there just asking to get it punched. Here we go. 64-3 with, let's see, he's a 4. The guy is in terrain, nothing intervening, so it's a 3 column. It's an R column. Okay. And we have 3 points on the red die, and he's only got 1 because he's all by himself. He has no support, so his cohesion suffers 1. So he is on our table. 3 plus 1 is 4. And the result is shaken and optionally skedaddle 1. And I think we will take advantage of that. Shake and bake, back 1. Next card. It is Union March Fatigue. Okay. Can actually try to get some effect on Union troops marching down the road, and this I do allow even with marching to the sounds of the guns. It's a hold card. The Confederates will put it in their collection of holds. It'll go right in there with the rebel yell. Okay. Remember, the Union is hanging on to Reynolds. Union is hanging on to Reynolds CIC card. Okay. Fog of War. It's a white die and a red die, and read whatever's on the table. So here's where we're going to see one of the differences between the rules as written and what I propose to do. I rolled a 63, which is division, general casualty, check scenario, but the game says that there's a list of generals that always will take casualties before anything on any table. And the first guy to get it is Reynolds. Okay? So, in the rules as written, Reynolds would be out of the game right now. Right on the very first turn, even an hour sooner than he would have been out versus the historical time when he was shot. Okay? Now what I'm saying, to me, this makes no sense. Reynolds did not ride into a tree. He has no units within 3 hexes away from an enemy unit. The closest are his Cutler over there. So, this is a no effect. And so then we bump down to the other guy. The next guy on the list would be Heath. And he doesn't have anyone within 3, so we skip him. And then we would roll on the table indicated, which is the divisional table. And since no divisions have anybody within 3, this is going to be a non-result. All right, next card. Virginia Veterans. This allows you re-rolls. I think we're just going to use it for movement. We're going to move 1 unit, 1 hex. Next card. Take the colors. This is basically it's like the Confederate attack card we've already discussed. It lets them run forward to melee. Not quite as effective, but it's what the Union can do. We're going to shoot at this guy. Same rifled guns. Bang away. We got 4. And in this case, there's no trees, there's no range issues. It's just going to be on the 4 table. All right, we got a 13-4. 13 is not going to do anything. That's going to be on the no effect table. 4 is the defender's cohesion. 4 is the red die. That's an 8, and that is still no effect on the no effect table. So there's no counter battery fire going on here. Done. Next card. And I did not see this, as far as I could not tell the difference between this and any other card in the game. So okay, marching to the sound of the guns. So that means that every unit that's coming in as a reinforcement or that has maintained its qualification as marching to the sound of the guns. There are a few different ways you can lose that, such as coming within 3 of an enemy unit, such as leaving a primary road, and so forth. But what this means is that all these Union units are all going to be marching down the road. The South does not have any such units. All their units are off the primary roads, all in line, so those are not going to be marching. Note that Cutler is part of a division that it has one brigade, the Iron Brigade, marching on the road, and these guys are clearly left the primary road, and they're just marching across the countryside. So Cutler, over here, does not get to move marching to the sound of the guns. He's already lost his benefit. It's gone forever. But the remainder of the division, as well as other Union divisions, are good as gold. So I'm going to go ahead and move them. But I do want to show one thing before I do. The game setup has these units stacked together, okay? And notice they both add up to over 10 points. And anything over 10 points, you have negated the road bonus. In fact, you have to pay cost of terrain. So if you were like moving, say, this 2nd Division I Corps, you may end up, especially if you moved, if they activated before the 1st Corps, you would be bumping into each other. You could be overstacking. You could have all kind of trouble getting by. And in fact, here, since this has used up all 10 of its points, and it's sitting in a woods hex, the road is negated. The artillery coming up from behind would have to stop as soon as they entered the woods because there's no road there once you're up over 10. Okay? Now, what I proposed was that you ignore that. You have to abide by stacking limitations at the end of your turn, but you don't have to worry about the 10-point rule so that to use road movement. I think that makes things a lot better. Second, since we are not activating based on the corps cards, let's say you had the 2nd Corps behind the 1st Corps, and just by random luck the 2nd Corps picked their card first and activated, they would be bumping straight in potentially into the corps in front of them, say the 1st Corps, and they would be having all kind of problems, one corps passing the other, when in reality both corps are moving at the same time. So the March to the Sound of the Guns card, I think, solves a lot of issues for keeping this system nice and easy and clean. So I'm going to move these guys. And up here you see the 11th Corps. They are also going to move. If the South had any units coming in, they would move them too. It can be simultaneous. I don't think you'll ever have a case where the guys are bumping into each other. They're all coming from different places around the map. And at least this battle, that ain't going to happen. All right, let me do the move. And so the 11th Corps guys here have marched down the road thusly. To get to their position here, they were assigned a maneuver order that gives 8 movement points. Likewise, the 1st Corps, that's the Iron Brigade in the lead, followed by the 2nd Division of I Corps with some artillery mixed in, and they marched down the road 16 hexes. All right, next card. And we got a Reynolds. Okay. Now, we've already moved the Iron Brigade with this March to the Sound of the Guns. That's the only way they move when they're in March to the Sound of the Gun status. Except for events, which can give them additional movement, but only down the road, or they lose that status. As soon as they leave the primary road, for the rest of the game, it's gone. They can finish the move in hand, but the next time they activate, it's going to be normal activation. Normal die rolls for Corps and Division will apply beyond that point. But right now, we have got Cutler. And he's already left the road, and he did not move to the sound of the guns. So we have to roll on Reynolds' card. There we go. We roll a 5. Division priority 1 and 2, as well as Wainwright's artillery. Now, Wainwright's artillery all march to the sound of the guns. They're not moving. They don't get a second dip with the Corps card. Likewise, the Iron Brigade, it's already moved. It's not going to get to go again. But Cutler has not gone. His division is the #1 priority division, and we have to roll on his division card, which is right here. Oops. So we can see no matter what he rolls, one brigade is going to get to go. And Cutler is only one brigade, so no matter what we roll, he's going to get to do his thing. We don't need to worry about that. We're going to move Cutler. He's going to have a maneuver order, and he's going to have 8 movement points. So Cutler moved parallel to the Seminary Ridge. He was over here, and he just kind of went over there with his 8-point maneuver order. Interesting that, the combat units in this game have no facing. Basically, they assume that the colonel can take charge of facing his troops in an appropriate way, and you, as fighting the Battle of Gettysburg, you are Lee, you are Meade, you don't have to worry about that. So one of the nice things about it is you can face the units any way you want. And I try to do it in kind of a sensible way. It's almost like playing a miniatures game where you're facing the stands where the way you want them to go, and it is kind of a cool effect. So you can see, the Confederates I have all lined up on their ridge. Likewise, the cavalry. But these guys are in a nice column. It gives a nice visual look. All right, next card. One note, and I think maybe I'll retroactively do it. The Confederate was holding this March Fatigue card that would require rolling 2 dice. Let's say, see, this is done on any Union formation that has executed maneuver order. Okay, it doesn't say exactly what they mean by formation. I assume that's a division. Okay, and some of these cards, they use terms a little bit looser than I would like to see. In this case, it's saying a formation. Okay, what do you mean by a formation? I'm going to say it's a division. So let's do these guys. I got a black 4. The low CR in the unit goes shaken, and it reduces his movement by the black die. So they had 8 points, and they lost 5 of them. So I'm going to adjust for that, and then we will do the next card. So instead of being right behind the Iron Brigade, the 2nd Division has got pushed back quite a bit. I think I might know who we're going to use the Reynolds card on. What do you think? All right, next card, which is a Union Command Confusion card. It's a hold card. And if a unit activates, there's a chance it'll be giving a defend order. This is the card that I'm saying you can't use on units marching to the sounds of the guns, because they're marching down the road. They're not going to all of a sudden stop and say, oh, we have to defend here. And no, it's not going to work that way. We'll hold that card. Note that once you hold a card, you can no longer use the default order. So it's either going to be used for the action it states, or it's going to be just not used this turn. Here's Howard the Duck. Let's roll for Howard the Duck. Well, Howard the Duck rolls a 1, which you'd expect from the duck. And what the duck's going to do is 1 brigade. Now, when it's in red like this, when it says it in red, that means you don't roll on the division card. You just pick 1 brigade from division priority 1 and 1 hex of Osborne's artillery, and they get to go. Now, because everybody in Howard's corps, that's here anyway, is all in March to the Sound of the Guns, this is a no-op. There's nothing to do here. Next card. We got vague orders. This could make it harder for the 3rd Corps, for AP Hill, to go ahead and do something. Let's shoot. This is too much like fun. 4 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just going to be straight up on the 4 column. If you liked it the first time, you'll love it the second time. Aces with a 6. Okay. Well, nothing's going to happen to them. So that's a miss. It's just a cleanup miss. Next card. Redeployment. This is the 2nd card that will generate movement. And it states you have 2 options. You can move all artillery units that are in 1 hex, okay, or move a group of rebel infantry units only from the same divisions that are stacked with or adjacent to at least 1 other unit of that same group. The problem is that this doesn't really say what a group is. Can't find anything in the rules that specifically talk about a group. So my interpretation of this is that they're talking about a division. So move a group or a division of rebel infantry units from the same division that are stacked with or adjacent to other units of that same group. So if they're clustered together, they all get to move. And it's infantry only, so the guns don't do anything. All right, these two units have separated into their own group, and then we have these guys over here that are in their group. So I'm going to say that we're going to activate these guys and have them start advancing a bit. These guys are in a separate group and are not affected. They're not eligible to do anything. The chosen units may all immediately move up to 6 movement points in any direction as if they are under a maneuver order. So it's kind of a weaker version of a maneuver order. Maneuver orders are 8. So there's 6 movement points here. All right, to get this brigade together again so that they're both cohesive with each other, go here, Davis, Davis. All right, so Heath has moved at least some of his units just outside of small arms range, and we can go ahead and use that as a platform to start building on. Pettiger's not here yet. He comes in next turn. So we're going to get, the Confederates are going to get some nice reinforcements later. Fast courier, we've seen this on the Confederate side. This is the Union version. And it allows for the activation of a division. Okay. And what I'm saying is we can include units marching to the sound of the guns in this. So I'm going to try to have these guys, where are they? These guys that fell behind here, we're going to try to get them back up there again. So I have to roll on their divisional table, -1 on the die, so it's not quite as good. Okay, I rolled a 2. -1, and this would be Robinson, so he is going to get to move 1 brigade. 1 brigade, so not both of them, just one of them is going to get to move. Notice that this card bypasses the priority of the division, so you can even have a lower priority division do something with this card. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they're going to catch up. Redeployment, this is another movement card, same one as the rebels had. Okay, we're going to have Cutler. He's a group from the same division. He's going to get 6 movement points as a maneuver order. And Cutler has deployed, and now that we have units within 3 of each other, that opens up the door to leader casualties, which would be Reynolds. But since we've already had the fog of war car happen this turn, you know, the thing that would trigger it has already been used, so we're okay. Next. Stand to it. Let's shoot. Okay, well, I've been using the 4-gun battery. Let's use it on this infantry that's so rashly advanced. This would be on Davis. And yes, the guy was related to Jefferson Davis. This is his nephew, I think. Keeping it in the family, the Davises. Okay. It is clearly at normal range. There's nothing in between, no units, no speakable terrain. It's going to remain on the 4 column. And it is a 25, which is no effect, and no counterfire. It's done. The colonel is down. Now, I'm saying you're not going to have colonels riding into trees either. They got to be within at least 3. And according to this, there's no other restriction. You have to roll against the cohesion of the unit. Okay, we got a 9-point Cutler unit with a cohesion of 3. Why don't we do that? He's within 3 of the enemy, so it's not of small arms, but it's probably not out of sniper range. So we got a sniper taking a beat on Cutler, or somebody over there. So let's see. The cohesion is 3. 1, 2, or 3 is no effect. 4, 5, or 6, he's shaken. And the bullet clips a tree branch next to the leader, but there is no effect. I rolled a 3. Next, Union March. Fatigue. Oh, okay. Well, let's see. Yeah, I think they are going to march again. We'll stick that into the hold queue. This is a card that allows you to hold it. Buford's active. He just rolls on the table printed on the card. So let's see what he gets. A6. Yes, Buford is Buford. 6 is good. So that means division by brigade. That means each brigade in that division can be given a separate order. Division group means there's only one order and everybody has to live with it. Plus Caliph's artillery. So basically Buford is very, very active. Now, nobody's within small arms range, and I don't think we want to change that. But he can do a defend order, and when he does a defend order, he can put up hasty works. So I think Buford is going to dig in with both brigades, both of them. They don't have to, but they can be issued a group order to defend. The other option is we do have a guy up here, a rather nice guy. He's a 4-point cavalry unit. And we could give a move order and have him go into those trees. Maybe I'll do that. Okay, this is where the division by brigade comes in. So we're going to give a maneuver order to Gamble and a defend order to Devon. The artillery do their own thing. The artillery will individually select their order to attack or to defend and possibly recover stragglers and stuff. So that's what they do. Each battery makes its own decision. Gamble, his piece has gone up to the woods. He is not adjacent to any other Gamble, so he's not going to have friends helping his morale out or his cohesion. So I expect his cohesion will be a 3 instead of 4, but still is kind of okay. And the batteries are just going to shoot. So we've done this before. Let me just do it again. So we have 2 rifled guns on this ridge, and they are going to be shooting over friendly troops and trees to get to this guy. So that's going to be 2 shifts for being obscured. You have 2 categories. You have units and you have terrain. You can only have 1 shift in each of the 2 categories, but you can have one, the other, or both. And we're shooting into a hex that's in the clear at normal range. So this is going to be a 2-point unit with 2 shifts left, so it's going to be the minimum shot on the 1 table. The result is a 15-4. I don't even need to look. That's not going to do anything. Note that as far as having firefights, the defending unit can only have a firefight with the guy that shot at him, and since this is infantry and their range is 2, there's no way they can shoot at the artillery that's at range 5. So even if there was a firefight, it wouldn't do anything. All right, we got the 4-unit battery, the 4-point battery. 4 guns. Same shot, except this time there are no shifts. So it's on the 4 column, and that's it. I got a 24-6. 24 is no effect. 6 is an outstanding morale roll. So this guy was only a 2, so he's an 8. Nothing, no effect, nothing happens. A.P. Hill. Now, the Union had been holding a command confusion card. And what that's going to do, for 1 brigade, there's going to be a chance, a 50-50 chance, that the order is converted to a defend order. So Hill has to roll on his table. And he rolls a 2, which is kind of stinky. And a 2 is, he only moves 1 brigade. It's printed in red, so we don't consult the divisional card. 1 hex of Pegram and Macintosh, who are here. Pegram is here. So 1 hex of the Pegram's artillery can activate. Those are the guys on the ridge, on her ridge. And so I can shoot or move with them. Now, artillery can't go within 2 of infantry moving. So they could go up here, but really we're all in normal range no matter where we go, so that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Shooting makes more sense. Which brigade to move? Let's say we want Archer to move. Okay, Archer. For grins, And let's say they were going to do a maneuver move. The Union pulls out this card, which is command confusion, and a 1, 2, or 3. That movement the movement order is canceled and it becomes a defend order, so interfering with their movement. Let's roll it. Okay, I rolled a 5, no effect. So this guy may continue, Archer may continue with his movement order. Now, like if I do an attack order, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. I can get right in there with that guy. Since we move next to Devon, he is going to get a defensive fire. So let's go ahead and do that. This is our first infantry/cavalry shot. He's got 4 points. And since he's got those carbines, I'm using that carbine rule. It's going to go up to a 5. So we're shooting at the Confederate infantry with a 64-1. We're on the T table with the 1 red in the red die and 4 points for cohesion with the unit itself. Puts us on the 5. Result, it's shaken and optional skedaddle 2. This is where, so he is shaken. This is where you have to decide, do you want to push or not? And you have those choices all the time in this game. Because if you push and get hit again, you're going to flip to battle worn, and it's hard to come back from battle worn. Possible, yes, and the higher quality of the unit, easier it is, but still, we're going to go back and try to recover that. Much easier to get rid of a shaken than it is to get rid of battle worn. Okay, and we're down to the last card. Command coordination, and this is just a shot. It is a shot. Note that with default actions, you cannot pick a defend order. You can only shoot or move. So because you can't pick a defend order, you can't recover from being shaken. So this is interesting. So we had kind of a little maneuver out to the Confederate right-hand side, and it got pushed back with gusto. All right. Okay, we're going to take 8 points of mixed. Then we're going to shoot at that big stack that includes the artillery. 8 points mixed. 6 is the range, normal range, but mixed always goes down 1. So it's 8, down 1. With cavalry there, it's a 5. It is a 41-1, a good shot. Its E result, or excuse me, the artillery has a choice between being shaken or skedaddling 1. So this is an or thing. He's going to go back down the road. Likewise, Gamble has the same cohesion rating, so he's going to go back down. Cutler is 1 less, but it's still the same result. He got lucky. Cutler can get pushed back to here. So the Confederates have actually cleared off one of the West McPherson's Ridge hexes. In fact, it's actually the victory hex. Not that it matters all that much at this point, but that's what it is. All right, all cards have been used. Now, players alternate playing cards that they've held, and I assume we start with the Union. So, remember, we've held Reynolds back. And what is Reynolds going to do? So the Reynolds card allows us to pick a division, any one we want, and roll on that card with a +1. So it's going to be a better result than normal. And Wadsworth is what we're going to pick. We got the Iron Brigade still on the road. This will get them moving some more. And we have Cutler actually starting to get into the fight. And so we're going to do him. Now Meredith, he's marching to the sound of the guns. He continues to do so. Cutler executes a normal move. So we have to roll this to see what the +1. It's a 6. Okay, division by brigade. Cutler's only 1 brigade, so he's going to get to issue himself an order. And Meredith is marching to the sound of the guns, which is its own thing. Let me take care of Meredith. We're just going to march him down the road. See what we're going to do. So Meredith did what he did historically. He He's doing a march to the sound of the guns movement, but he's going to be leaving the primary road and executing the movement overland. Actually, Reynolds was there himself to direct them to do this in real life. And so that means that he gets to finish this move marching to the sound of the guns, but now that's it. So the Iron Brigade has lost its status as marching to the sound of the guns, and now all the normal activation rules apply to them, as well as Cutler. Cutler over here, he just got pushed off the ridge, and he's got his second half of his brigade in the woods. He's going to do a defense move. And in a defense move, you get to move a minimum move. That's two on a primary road or one anywhere else. And so this guy is going to go there. Second, the other half of the brigade is not doing anything. And when you don't do anything with a defense order, you may construct hasty works. So he has started to build hasty works along with Devon on the flank. Confederates, do they have any cards? They have a rebel. Ooh, they have a rebel yell that they could use. They could actually do a melee with bonuses, but I don't want to. You know, Pettigrew isn't here yet. So I think one of the mistakes in many Gettysburg games that Confederate players can make is push Heath up too fast. Remember, this is all ground that's going to be taken anyway. You know, basically, no matter what happens in this game, these ridge lines are going to go. So why exhaust Heath in the process when you're just going to be able to take it for free later? Okay, so no, he's just going to blow off his cards in his hold, and that's it. Now it's time to take the turn, check what reinforcements are coming, and get ready for the next turn. Well, this is the end of the 0900 turn. It's now 10 o'clock on the morning of July 1st. We had General Heath make a half-hearted attempt at pushing forward, and he was immediately shown the exit by General Buford. At 10 o'clock, we are going to have Pettigrew's brigade come on, which is a big brigade, the single biggest brigade in Heath's command. And I will be pushing through a few more turns. At a higher level, I'm going to try to make things move a bit faster than we had in this game. I wanted to present the details at first so that you guys could have a better feel for how the game would go. Going forward, I want you to see more of the general flow of the game rather than how the low-level mechanics are operating. So I'm going to try to get through maybe 3 or 4 more turns in the next video. Yeah, right, but I'll give it a shot. All right. If any of you are still with me and you have not yet subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. It helps the channel and it helps you keep track of what we're doing over here. Till then, I want to wish everyone a happy Father's Day and a pleasant evening. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.